Okay guys, so as of last week we officially hit 100 subscribers and I'm very excited about that. So a quick thank you to everyone who has subscribed, liked, shared our videos. I'm very grateful for that, and hopefully we'll be able to grow this channel and keep making videos for you guys. So by popular demand, the video I made on the Paystack integration was well received, and I thank everybody for the positive feedback on that. And one request I got back was on how to integrate the Refund API for Paystack. So I figured, why not make a video on it? So that's the purpose of this video. We are going to take a look at how we can integrate the Refund API for Paystack. So here is a quick demo of what we are going to be building. So that's what we are going to be building, and I hope you are excited for this. So let's jump right in. Okay guys, so to help us be able to follow along with this tutorial, I've already created the starter code for you. So if you head over to this link, code.sharegas/paystack refund transfers, you'll find this code over here. Now I have two branches, one for the starter code and the other for the complete code. So the starter code contains what you need in order to follow along with this tutorial. So, and the complete code contains the complete source code, right? So to follow along, just switch to the main branch, click on the main branch, and then head over to code, and then copy the URL over here, and then open up VS Code. So let's open up VS Code, and here we are going to open up the terminal. So in the terminal, we are just going to clone this into our local machine or into our computer, right? So cd into desktop, and then git clone, and then paste in the URL. So this will clone it into our local machine, and then we'll start the application from this side. Great, so it's done. So let me open this up. So cd into paystack transfers, paystack underscore refund, paystack refund transfers, and then let's open this up. Great, so this is it. We have the index.html, script.js, and then style.css. So this is nothing fancy, just a simple form. Over here we have a simple form which takes in the input type of transaction ID, refund amount, and the reason for the refund. And then you have the style.css over here, just some simple basic styling for the form. And then over here in the script.js, I've just created a simple loading spinner that will, or a loading screen that will signify that the transaction is going on. So over here we find it here. This div is where we have the loading happening, right? Good. And then if we get the response back, we are going to be displaying it under this div. So that's what we have, and I'll just start off the what do you call it, the application. So we are going to start coding the refund, right? So over here, important thing, you need to have this script as part of it. I've already linked the necessary script. So the style.css is over here, the script.js is here. Now this script is to the Axios library. So Axios will allow you to make post requests, send requests over the server. So you need to have this in the index.html, right? Or if you are writing a very comprehensive backend, you can go install the packages, express, all those other good stuff. But for simplicity purposes, I'm just going to include this script. So without the script, it will not work. So make sure you have this included. Now let's head over to the script.js. Okay, so over here in the script.js, what we are going to do is to handle the form submission. But before then, we need to get the secret key, right? So we'll do that in a little while, but I'll just declare a variable here. Later on, we will paste the secret key here, right? Good. So later on we'll paste the secret key here, but right now let's focus on handling the form submission. So how do we handle the form submission? We are basically going to grab the refund form ID here for the form, which from there we can get the transaction ID, refund amount, and the refund reason, and also the submit button. So let's do that. So here what we are going to do is we are going to say document.getElement by ID, and what we are trying to get is the refund form. So we are getting the refund form, and we are going to add an event listener onto this. So when the submit button is clicked, that's what we are going to check for. So when the submit button is clicked, what do we want to do? So we want to add in a function. So the function is going to fire once this event, this submit button happens. But since we know that we are going to be dealing with a lot of processes, the data will be sent to Paystack's API, back and forth transfer of data, then that means things might take a little while, and so we need to make this an asynchronous process so that we can be able to handle all that, right? Good. We want to prevent the browser from automatically hitting the submit button, so prevent default, just like this. Great. And now we can get the parameters or the various IDs. So the first one we are going to get is transaction ID, and we are going to grab it by the ID. So document the get element by ID, and this one it's known as transaction ID. Copy it and then paste it in here. Good. And then what we are trying to get is the value, so dot value, like that. And the next one is const refund amount. So we say refund amount like this, and it's the same thing, document.getElement by ID, and it's called refund amount dot value. Now with the refund amount, we need to multiply it by 100. It's a requirement from Paystack, so that it gets it in the list currency, the list of the currency, right? So you get the value and then you multiply it by 100. Make sure to include that. So the next thing we are going to get is the refund reason. So what's the reason why we want to request a refund? So it's also going to be document.getElement by ID, refund reason, right? Dot value, just like that. Good. So if we are successful in grabbing these values, we want to show a loading screen. That means the the submit button has been pressed, so we are going to show a loading screen. I've already created the code for that over here at the top. So we are going to show it. So we are going to show a loading screen, and then we are going to handle. So while the screen is loading, we are going to try and execute a function. We are going to try and execute a function. So here in the try catch, so if as we are writing the try, we also want to catch any errors that might occur, right? Just like this. Good. So the try catch error. So over here we are going to write a function. No, we are going to implement the function, not write it. So we are going to implement the function to initiate refund, right? And then here we are going to catch any errors. That's what we are going to do. Great. So now to help us, let's go and create the initiate refund function. Let's create that one first. So let's create that one first. So it's also going to be an asynchronous process, right? So we are going to say async function like this, initiate refund, and to be able to successfully initiate the refund, we need 3 parameters. These 3 parameters are necessary in order to initiate a refund, and they are the transaction ID, the amount, and the reason, right? So these ones, we'll be passing them here shortly, right? Good. So I'll get back to writing the code here. So let's implement it. So here we are going to say const refund is going to be equal to await. So we are going to be awaiting for this function. Mind you, we've not written anything yet, but I want to just pass this in so you know what we are getting. So we are going to await the initiate refund function, this one that we've created, and then we'll pass in the parameters. That's transaction ID, refund amount, and then the refund reason. Now this will not work now because we've not written code to pass the information along, but we'll do that in a little while. So here what we want to do is we want to display the response in the UI or in the HTML, right? So over here where we have the div for the response, this section, right? So we are going to just append the response that we get. So here we say document dot get element by ID, and this ID is called refund response. So let me copy it. So refund response, copy, paste it here, and then we need to append, or we need to use the text content here in order to append the response. So use the backticks template strings and then say refund initiated. Nice. And then we pass in the refund ID. So we wrap this in the template strings and we say refund dot ID, and this is good. So we add that, and over here in the errors, basically we also want to still display the error message, right? So document.get element by ID, and what are we displaying? So it's in the refund response as well, dot text content, and here we are basically going to say error initiating the refund, something like this, right? and then we pass in the error message too as well. So the error message is going to just be error dot message. Good. So just like that, we are done. And then we need to hide the loading screen. So just hide the loading screen, save this, and now we can get on to working on the initiate refund. So here in the transaction, we just wrap it in a try catch since we don't know whether it might result in an error or not. So wrap it in a try catch error like this. And now we need to make the request. So over here in the try, let's start over there and just say const response is equal to await. So what are we awaiting? We are waiting for Axios. Sorry, it's AX. Axios dot post. That's the request type we are going to use. So post, we use post, the post method to send data, get method to get data. So this one, because we are making a request to the API, that's why we are using that. So over here we need to pass in the URL to the Refund API. So I'm simply just going to paste the Refund API here, and the next thing we need to do is to pass in the required parameters. So the required parameters are the transaction ID, right? It's transaction, the transaction, which is the transaction ID, and then we need to pass in the amount and the reason, right? So the reason will be, we call it customer note. So just a customer note. But before that, let's pass in the currency so we don't forget. So the currency type, remember, if you are dealing with Ghana cedis, is GHS. If it's Nigerian Naira, it's NGN, and dollar is USD. So we pass in the currency, and then we pass in the customer note. So the customer note is basically the reason for why we want to initiate the refund. So here I'm going to say reason. Good. So after reason, here we need to pass in the headers, right? So we need to pass in the headers. So over here we say headers like this. Now the authorization, so without the secret key we will not be able to make the request. So we are going to have to pass in the authorization here. So we say authorization. Now the authorization is from the secret. So we say bearer, right? Now we need to use template strings for it to work. Backticks. So bearer like this. Good. And it's from secret key. And then we need to pass in the content type. So the content type is application/JSON, just like that. Application/JSON. Great. Next thing is to return the data. So if we are successful in getting this, we need to return the response. So I'm going to say return response data. Very important. So we say response data. Now if there are any errors in the code, we want to be able to catch it. So here we'll just throw a new error. So we say throw new error, and here we pass in the error. So it's going to be error dot response dot data dot message, just like that. Great. And with this, we are almost done. We are almost done. We forgot about this. So if you forget about this, it will not work. So where do we get the secret key? We get it from the Paystack dashboard, right? So let's head over to Paystack. Good. So over here on Paystack, we head to the settings and we'll go to the API keys section. Now in the previous video, when we were dealing with the the payment, we use the test public key, which is this one. But this time we are going to use the test secret key in order to be able to authenticate the refund, right? So copy this one instead, not the public key. Copy this one and then open up VS Code again. So simply just paste it here, right? Pasting your key here, save it, and now it should work. So let's open up the live server. Open up live server, and we have this. Great. So we need to pass in the transaction ID. Remember, the transaction ID is important, the refund amount and the refund reason. So over here we see we have two current transactions over here, right? Click on any of them. So if you don't have any transaction, make sure to make a transaction in order to be able to follow along. Now the transaction ID is over here. Copy it and then open up the live server. So paste this here, and then the refund amount, it was 50 cedis, so we say 50 cedis, and the refund reason is I want my money back, just like that. And then we click on initiate refund, and just like that, the refund has been initiated and we get the reference back as well. So if we go back to the dashboard, we check at refunds, we should see this refund happening just like that. So the refund of 50 cedis has happened, and just like that, you've been able to successfully initiate the refund. So let me know, guys, if this was helpful. And we see it over here that it has deducted, right? We've been able to successfully refund it. Okay guys, so that's all for this video. I hope you found it useful, and if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down in the comment section. I'll be sure to reply them, and I'm working on other videos for some of the comments that I received. So if you want to see more of this, please don't forget to leave a like, share, and then subscribe. So until then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye for now.